Is he going to try to steal the power? I know you might have been worried. You might have thought maybe I wasn't coming back to My Hero Academia. And I admit, my life's been a little hectic. Been on call at work, kids got a lot of activities. I'm a busy man, I'm a dad, I'm a family man, I'm a hardworking man. But I'll always come back to My Hero Academia. And here we are, I think episode 7 of season 2, where the brackets are going. It kind of looks like maybe Deku is in a pretty tight spot. It's like March Madness here, and we're almost at March. Just like in Death Note, the New Year's Eve stuff happened close to New Year's Eve. Now the March Madness bracketology is happening at UA's Sports Fest. I'm just rambling on. Let's get to it. And of course, during the OP, I do like to remind folks that I have a Patreon now. And I know some of you are already members of that Patreon, which is really cool. And I appreciate that. Some of you aren't, most of you aren't. Just click on the link, have a look around, see if it's something that interests you. Everybody's welcome. We would love to have you over there with us at the Anime Dad Patreon. Anime fam. All right, so here we are. We know, I think if he talks, something about hearing his voice allows him to get like a mind control or some kind of telekinetic psychic control over Deku. So I'm kind of glad for the recap here because it's been a little while, been a little over a week since I watched the last episode. Like I said, busy, what can I say? But I want to see how this competition goes because it really looked to me like Deku's about to get a first round blast from the tournament. Just like the Kentucky Wildcats last year. So he's getting inside of his mind just verbally there. He's really trying to take advantage of the guy's good nature. See? Uh-oh. Oh, no. Once he talked, I guess he'd get like the mental wavelength from his voice or something and then really latch onto him. Put him in a bad way. Oh, man. Look at those eyes all like glassed over. Frozen. He's totally out of it. Yeah, completely frozen there. Man, that is an interesting crowd out there. All the character design. It had to be both fun and intimidating to be like an animator for this, where you get to have the fun of drawing all these wild and crazy creative types. Victory or defeat, by the way, the name of the episode. But at the same time, there's pressure not to be too derivative, not to be too redundant. An excellent challenge for a creative type, particularly a lifelong superhero fan,
Perfect example of why the entrance exam isn't rational.
Oh. This is nice. So during this, they're giving us some real-world parallels about their whole process here, which I like. He's actually pointing out some of the same negativities about the process that I was, which is nice. It's always nice when I'm on the same page as characters and creators. Yeah, he can't fight robots when you have a human mental manipulating abilities. I love it. I was pointing this out because I asked this very question last season. People said, hey, just stick around. You'll get the answer. Here it is. It's funny. This is precisely the situation. I was like, hey, but what about? And people were like, Bruce, just chill. Stick with it. You'll see what you're needing. All right. So he turned into totally a puppet for this puppet master with the purple hair. Oh no, Midori's almost done. No competition whatsoever. He is done for before the competition even gets started. I would want my money back if this was a pay-per-view. Oh, brainwashing? I think that's a little oversimplifying what he does. I love this power, though. I like the conceit, how it's constructed, the weakness to it, the vulnerabilities he has to be able to get them to talk. So maybe, there are going to be people he can't. Oh, I love it. This is excellent story construction here on this little mano-a-mano one-on-one. I really love the design on this Shinso guy. Oh, wow. If they just had a fist fight, no superpowers. It's Team Deku, which, I don't know. Deku has worked hard, but I imagine the other guys worked hard, too. It might be pretty evenly matched, to be honest. If there weren't any quirks involved. I love that they had to put the caption, panic, 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 over All Might's head, just in case you couldn't tell he wasn't happy with what's going on here. I love how they're giving us his internal dissociative impression about what's going on. Imagine being trapped in your own body like that. Like you know everything that's going on, perfectly aware, but you have no control. Oh, that is like such a level of torture. I couldn't imagine the torture with something like that. It's like, you know, the Purple Man from Marvel Comics, and the guy kind of has purple hair. So very Purple Man here. Except Purple Man doesn't have the limitation that this guy has about need to get them to talk first. Personally, I prefer the way that it's depicted here in My Hero Academia over Purple Man's version. Although I love Alias. Written by Brian Michael Bendis, introduced Jessica Jones. Great comic series. Oh, so the squirrel guy's letting him know a little bit about how it goes. Ojiro here. Oh, so he kind of told him the way to get out of it. Like you bump into somebody, you snap out of the mind control. So now, is Deku going to be able to use this information to his advantage? Because he's always paying attention. He's always thinking. He's out there living life the best way he can. He's had to make it through a quirk-filled world without any quirks for like 12, 13 years. So he's had to learn to adapt. And now that he's got a quirk, it makes him unstoppable. Oh, man. He's such a sappy guy. He loves all his friends. Fist bump. Fist bump. That is a bond for life among junior high kids, is the fist bump. They're probably high school. I don't know. They look kind of like freshmen. Yeah, that's about right. Freshmen. Of course, I don't know how the school system's organized in the future. But mentally, that's what I'm looking at. I'm picturing they're about freshmen. Ninth graders in the old US of A. Around 14, 15 years old. Ooh. What are all these staring eyes at him? This rainbow color. This is beautiful. Though I don't quite understand the significance of it. Oh. Whoa. Is this one for all trying to reject the mind control? Like the finger is vibrating. You see this vessel? Is he going to try to steal the power? Oh, for just a minute I thought Shinso was somehow going to try to steal his power, like he knew, like maybe he had some mind reading abilities, not just mind control. But I think it's purely mind control. Oh, did he snap out of it just in time? He's on the boundary with that borderline, and if he steps across, he loses. And he snapped out of it. How? I just saw the little power thing in his finger, the vessel kind of throbbing. Yeah, look, his fingers are almost dead. So, is it the pain? He broke his own fingers with the one-for-all power. Wow. So it wasn't the bumping into someone, it was the pain that snapped him out of it. This is great. He's figured out a way around it. And now he's not going to let him... Oh. Whoa, this is all the previous people who have the power, right? All those green eyes looking at him in this ethereal and like the rainbow. Yeah, that's what he's saying. It's a torch that's been passed, so you have like force ghosts, like your Jedi masters are still with you. I like this. The wisdom of the ages of my ancestors. It's a little bit like Black Panther in that regard, like the wisdom of my ancestors and the power gets passed along. I do like that aspect. And also, you know, like the Jedi force ghosts coming around to give you guidance when you need it. I like that. I love it. What's he going to do? He doesn't even need to use one for all, right? He can just do something else to trick him out or trip him out. Oh, let's see how he handles this. He's going to pick a humane way to win, right? He's just good to a fault, Deku. He's humanitarian to his flaw is his empathy, but his empathy is his strength. Something I said a lot with Demon Slayer that I thought was a really cool, unique idea. And now I'm seeing it come here in this show that came before. So it's always nice to see that connective tissue, you know, when I go from one anime to the other. That's one of the fun things about this experiment of me getting to watch different anime for the first time from different eras and seeing how it all kind of folds together in a non-linear fashion. Really enjoying this last couple years where I've made my foray into anime. Later in life than most folks, but I'm still living life. Whoa! He really hurt him! Oh! Nice hip toss or whatever. I don't know what you call that. I'm not a toss expert. I call it a judo toss. I don't know if it really is, but good for you, Deku. Did Deku win? Yes! His foot's out of bounds! You go, Deku! You dug deep and you got your first round win against the number 16 seed you're up against or whatever. But all right, good for you, Deku figured out how to get around the mind trickery. Oh, 3 years ago. We're getting a flashback. So is this a Shinso flashback? We're in middle school. Okay, so they did go from middle school to high school. Makes sense. Showing all the kids. Is that hair's more blue than purple, isn't it? I'm not good with shades of color. But these kids are also happy to find out their friend is Purple Man, basically. I like the voice actor they got for that girl. It's such an annoying voice, the English voice actor, but it's so fun. I've never met a middle school kid who sounded so much like an old lady as that little girl. Yeah, he does really seem like a villain than a hero, doesn't he? Oh, here it is. The self-doubt digging away at him. You're meant to be a villain, not a hero. Even that entrance exam is trying to force you to the world of villainy, where villainy lets you break the mold and lets you be nonconformist, whereas heroism is all about being conformist. You get acquaintance, a guy I know here in town who's a comic book writer. I've written comic books too, so we were at this thing, and he was talking about, you always have to remember in comic books, the villains should be treated like the protagonists. They're the ones advocating for change. The heroes are the antagonists that want to preserve the status quo, and that's the way to write, good comic book superhero stories. And I like this. They're taking the guy who's destined to be the villain, the nonconformist, and he's trying to show that he can also be the hero here. I like Shinso. He's actually got a really cool story. I like the way they make you not be able to cheer too hard for Deku winning, because you kind of feel bad for this guy. Not quite Attack on Titan levels, but, made me second guess my cheering for Deku's victory. Like, what does it really matter if Deku wins? It's all just pulling for your favorite here. The consequences here are less tangible, but that makes it so much more fun, because you don't feel guilty about just rolling all in when there's less consequences on the line. But I feel like before this festival's over, some actual villains are going to show up, right? Like a little bit of a replay of what happened at the end of Season 1, maybe? Especially with the more vulnerability of All Might being understood, perhaps, by the outside world. Wow, this guy's handling this with such calm demeanor and such maturity. Once again, comes from a lifetime of having to deal with it, right? Learning at such a young age to deal with it in such a grown-up fashion. And Deku has a pretty firm grasp on it here. Ah, great! That's what he needed, the words of encouragement. The hug after the match, the handshake at the end of the game. The old, you're one of us, buddy. It was only, the ball just bounced my direction, pal. Could have been either of us out here. See, this is where he earned victory in defeat or something, by showing what he could do and getting people to think about him differently. And, maybe he's the agent for change. It's a little too pretty and heroic and positive the way it's ending here, right? Oh, wow. He changed the world with one simple defeat. I like it. Maybe it's a little too schmaltzy and over the top, but I'm a sucker. I love it. Oh, he might get transferred in after all. And then he could become very dear friends with his buddy Deku. Or soon-to-be potential buddy Deku. He's got that drive. Kind of reminds me of the speech Bill Murray gave in Rushmore, when he gets up there and he says, some of you are born rich, and you're going to stay that way. This isn't for you. But for the rest of you, take aim on the rich boys and never let them forget it. That's kind of what's going on here with Shinso. Oh, wow. He's like encouraging him. Yeah, win it for us. Isn't that kind of what they do in hockey in the Stanley Cup playoffs? Whenever one team loses to another, then at the end of the match, on the game, on the ice, they go out there, tap hands, gloves, whatever, and like, win it for us, win it for us. Oh, temporary nurse. Oh, it's Recovery Girl who can kiss it and make it better. What a great way for it to go. Yeah, All Might's got some insight here into what's going on. He's not a bad mentor to have after all, is he, All Might? Recovery Girl does not want to hear about All Might being up to no good shenanigans of any sort. Oh, he's talking about the green eyes. It's his ancestors, his predecessors, the previous bearers of the torch. I like this lore, because they weren't eyes just like All Might. I think they were All Might. Yeah, he's catching on the same way I am. I love All Might's response. Totally unexpected. He doesn't want to be a ghost. I thought he would know about this. Is this something Deku's discovering that he didn't? It'd be interesting. It'd be actually kind of cool. I would endorse it if suddenly there was something that Deku appreciated that All Might didn't. Yeah, it sounds like he does have his own unique spin on that. I like that. Plus, I like the idea that we could have a spin-off that's like 50 years in the future when Deku has to pass on the power to a new kid. That would be kind of cool, too. Yeah. It's explaining what I think we've all figured out here about the ancestors or whatever. Oh, he says it's not satisfying. It makes sense. Oh, yeah, I want to see how the brackets play out. That's what this is all about anyway, isn't it? This is like a fighting comic, like AVX when it was out, Avengers vs. X-Men. You just get to enjoy the pure battles and not have to worry about the story too much. Even though we are getting glimpses of lore and exposition working its way in here so organically. Pretty darn good episode in that regard. Pretty good arc. I think the arc's really taking a turn here. Of course, I'm still curious about Todoroki. Are we going to see his father, Endeavor? Is that his father's name? Ha ha! Todoroki and Pop. Oh, his dad, a little condescending tone there, talking to his son who's doing a really good job. I love this friction between his father and him. You know, story as old as time of the child wanting to step out of the father's shadow. The son wanting to step out of the father's shadow and become his own man. Just like Tyrion Lannister and Tywin Lannister is a good one to think of. I think we know who his favorite parent is. He's definitely a mama's boy. In a good way. Don't, please, no negative connotations intended there. Oh, his dad's telling him you're going to have to embrace the dark side. It's like Darth Vader telling Luke, forget about Padme's side of the family. Come to daddy. Oh, man, his buddies are letting him watch the other competition so he can kind of scout out who's ahead. And his buddy with the squirrel tail proud that he won one for his friend. All right, now we can have a little bit of fun. I got not as much personal skin in the game here. We can just see Todoroki makes short work of this guy, right? Like, there's no way Elbow Tape beats Todoroki. I do like Elbow Tape as a mullet, though. I mean, what a perfect combination of hairstyle and quirk. Elbow Tape, mullet, goes together perfectly. Goes together like a cat in a swimming pool. Oh, man. Let's see. Are we going to get to it, or is the show going to end before we see the winner? I feel like Todoroki's going to make short work exclusively with ice, too. No fire. Or maybe he loses and his dad uses this as more fuel for the fire. Pun accidental, but I love it. Oh man, Tape Elbow is just spinning him around. He's like, okay, I'm done with you. Sorry, but I got no choice. I got to whoop you. Whoa! Wow, that ice really did something unexpected. Look at their faces. Did he build the world's biggest ice wall? What did he do? Did he bust through the top of the stadium? That is an awesome display of power, the likes of which I've never seen. But I'm willing to declare Todoroki an Omega level mutant after seeing that. Definitely an Omega level mutant. He didn't just kill his opponent, did he? This angered his father. So he's incapacitated. Defeat. All right, that was a quick victory. He made short work, so which will we see first? Deku versus Bakugo? Deku versus Todoroki? Todoroki versus Bakugo? Those are the three we want to see kind of coming down, right? And who's the fourth guy that's going to be thrown into the mix? Maybe the Dark Shadow Crow dude? I can't remember his name now. But yeah, Todoroki, man. Shoto, way to go, though. He did apologize before he froze him like pizza rolls in the basement freezer, you know, the ones your mom puts down there for summertime. Oh, man. My grandma used to have a deep freeze, she called it. A big freeze that was like horizontally oriented that was out in the garage. And it was always just filled with ice crystals. And you'd open it up and the ice cream from that thing was probably freezer burn, probably 12. The ice cream was probably older than I was. But man, it tasted so good in the summer. Something about opening that deep freeze and I just like the cold air comes up and it's all like fog, you know, it's all like vapor of some sort, and you open it up and if you wear glasses like me, they just frost over and you can't see anything for a minute. You reach in and you get that freezer burned ice cream from 1978. you bite into it. One of the best things ever. Much like this episode, one of the best things ever. How's that for a segue? I had a lot of fun with this. I like this mind versus matter, a way to win without defeating. How do you like that? You can win the contest without defeating your enemy in a way, because if you ask me, Shinso, was that the mind control guy? He won in his own way. You know, they say there are no moral victories. Well, here there was, because he probably will get transferred into the hero program, right? He may change policies that will affect the lives of hundreds of future heroes, if not thousands or even more. I mean, perpetuity, infinite amount of heroes potentially can be affected by this. It was great. It was wonderful. Maybe a little too quick, maybe a little too easy, but we only got 20-something minutes, right? I loved it. I like it. I'm really finding the way that they've managed to make every character that we experience just that, an experience, and an interesting one at that. Can this show keep it up at this level for as many seasons as I know lie ahead? I don't know, but I can't wait to see. And with that, I'm going to say, I'm proud of you for watching anime, and I'll talk to you again soon.
I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon. It really means a lot to me. If you might be interested in Patreon perks like early access to videos, uncut reaction videos, ad-free videos, and the opportunity to vote on which anime will be covered in the future, then click on the link in the video description. Thank you.